Okay, George, if we're going to talk about the history of the mob at the shore, no better place to start than right here on North Georgia Avenue in the Ducktown section of Atlantic City. Why did the wise guys come to the beach?
Well, I mean, traditionally they came to the beach for the same reason any Philadelphian did. It was hot in Philadelphia. Then when they come down here, come to the ocean, come to the boardwalk. Angelo Bruno used to come here when he was the boss. And then Nicky Scarfo ended up here on Georgia Avenue. He got banished here in the 1960s. He was a hothead. He got involved in a fight, killed a guy in the Oregon Diner, and Bruno, instead of having Scarfo whacked, sent him down here. And Scarfo, for the longest time, was the mob's caretaker in a city where there was nothing to take care of. But he was in the right place at the right time. And by the 80s, when he was the boss, Georgia Avenue here was literally the nerve center for the Philadelphia mob. They had a house back here where he lived, and then they had the Scarf Inc. construction company that he and Phil Leonetti owned right here on Georgia Avenue.
Right across the street here.
Yeah, and this, you know, back in the 80s, if you came here, there'd be all kind of surveillance cameras up because that was what everybody was watching.
Yeah, the cops had a feast down here.
Yeah. Very, very easy to track these guys in. And a lot of those old surveillance pictures of those guys in their very short shorts, because that was the style at the time. And everybody down here for the summer, they'd go to Margate, they'd go to Ventnor, but they'd come over here to visit with Scarfo.
All right, and there was a lot of problems down here in the Scarfo era with things going on, a murder or two, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you had all kind of things. You know, you had the dawn of casino gambling. That made this the hot spot. You had the young guys, the hotheads, like a young Joey Merlino, a young Marty Angelina. They were in clubs and bars, and there was, I think, at one point a stabbing or a fight in a bar that Joey was allegedly involved in. And then you had the infamous, I guess at the dawn of the casino gambling era, the infamous hit at the Flamingo Lounge, where municipal judge and lawyer Eddie Helfand was killed by Scarfo and Nick the Blade Virgilio. That's all documented in the subsequent trial.
All right, and don't leave out Nicky Scarfo's attempt to take over the bartenders union and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's another big part of it. The Local 54, the bartenders union, with the dawn of casino gambling, became probably the most important union in the city. And Scarfo had a connection with Frank Gerace, whose mother lived here in one of these apartments, was a friend of Scarfo's mother, and Gerace was the head of the bartenders union, and according to the feds, Scarfo got his hooks in the Local 54 that way.
Okay. Now, always discussion about ancillary businesses and stuff down here out of the casinos that they get their hands into. What kind of things were they into here in Atlantic City?
Well, I mean, originally before the casino, Scarfo was involved in loan sharking, bookmaking, and an adult bookstore. Once the casinos opened and they got their hooks into the union, that was a source of funds. And the other thing was, and people tend to forget about this, sports betting is still illegal, but you got all these gamblers here. So this was a ready-made market for the mob. You know, you got gamblers coming to Atlantic City to watch a prize fight, to watch a Super Bowl game, to watch whatever. They can't get a bet down at the casino, but they can get a bet with a mob bookmaker. And Scarfo had, because of his connections with the union, had somebody in each casino that could take bets, sports bets. They also had, back in the day, there was no legalized poker. They had poker games up on a room in the hotel where you don't want to play blackjack, you want to play poker, come on, we'll show you where. The mob had a piece of all that kind of stuff.
All right, now guys stayed up and down the shore here. Some guys stayed in Ocean City and stuff, but when they got together, it was always down here in Atlantic City. What are a couple of places they used to hang out at when they had dinners together and kind of hung?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of restaurants here in Georgia Avenue. There's Angeloni's here on the corner. Scarfo used to go there a lot. There's the Fairmont Tavern up the street. They used to go there. And they also would go over to Market, and a couple of the bars over there were and continued to be hot spots right up through last summer, I think.
Okay, George, we're at the scene of the old Flamingo Lounge in Atlantic City, where one of the more notorious hits the shore took place. Walk us through that.
Yeah, this was right after the dawn of casino gambling. It was the first big hit in Atlantic City, and it kind of set the tone for who Scarfo was. Scarfo and Nick the Blade Virgilio killed Eddie Helfand, a municipal judge and a local lawyer. And it went back to something that happened 6 or 7 years earlier. Supposedly, this all came out in court testimony, Helfand was supposed to fix a case in which Virgilio was up on a murder rap. And Virgilio thought he was going to get 3 or 4 years. He ended up getting 6 or 7 or 8, something like that. When he came out of jail, he wanted revenge because they had paid Helfand and nothing got done. So Helfand's in here having a drink, I think, with a date or a young lady, and it's snowy. It's in the winter, and Virgilio's wearing a ski mask, carrying a snow shovel, walks in and shoots him 6 or 7 times, walks out. Scarfo's waiting to have a big getaway. And that was one of the big hits that set the tone for the Scarfo era.